Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a family whose narrative isn't really told through, grand castles or glittering titles, but through something, well, far more enduring, a kind of quiet strength, a profound sense of duty, and an almost uncanny ability to adapt to the world's relentless changes. Their story stretches back over 600 years. It's quite something.
Indeed. Today, we're embarking on a truly fascinating deep dive into the chronicle of the Freiherren von Buchwitz. And what truly captivates me about this extensive heritage, rooted deeply in historical regions like Silesian Silesia, as we know it, and Saxony, it's not just how it shaped generations past.
Right.
It's how this long lineage profoundly informs the perspective of its most recent known living representative, Ralph von Buchwitz. Especially, as he navigates the complexities of life now in his 60s, his insights, they're like a living bridge to this ancient wisdom.
And that's really our central mission for this deep dive, isn't it? We've been immersed in a trove of material. Excerpts from their incredibly detailed family chronicle, historical documents, and even direct, quite unvarnished insights from Ralph von Buchwitz himself. Our goal is to extract those vital nuggets of knowledge, those aha moments that reveal how a centuries-old ethos can still provide, well, a remarkable roadmap for navigating the complexities of modern life. We would understand how one individual, carrying such a long history, actually embodies it in his everyday actions and his sharp observations today.
Yeah, and this raises a really important question for all of us, I think, living in this world of constant information overload. How does one distill such a long, rich history into something truly actionable, into genuine wisdom?
Exactly.
We'll see how the very values that allowed this family to endure for 6 centuries resonate powerfully with the challenges we all face today, from, technological shifts to environmental realities. It's a unique approach to heritage, not as some dusty relic, but as a living, breathing guide.
Okay, so our journey begins right at the foundation of this incredible 600-year legacy. And what strikes me immediately about the Freiherren von Buchwitz isn't some grand public spectacle of power or wealth. It's what the family chronicle consistently refers to as the ethos der Stille, literally the ethic of silence, or maybe ethic of quietness. This was an unwritten, deeply ingrained code that defined them for centuries. Uprightness, unwavering reliability, and above all, a profound sense of modesty. It was about being, not, showing.
And what's truly compelling here is how consistently this ethos manifested itself. We find it explicitly stated in their 16th century testaments, where the guiding principle for life was described as a life that was moderate, not overreaching.
Moderate, not overreaching.
Exactly. This wasn't about the pursuit of power or fame in the way many aristocratic families understood it. It was about living a measured, responsible existence. And what's remarkable is how this principle extended far beyond just personal conduct into, well, pretty much every aspect of their lives, from land management to education.
Absolutely. And you see it in very concrete and, frankly, surprisingly progressive examples from their history. Take, for instance, an edict issued on their estates way back in 1580 that explicitly prohibited flogging.
1580, wow.
Yeah. Now, for context, this was an extreme rarity for the time, when corporal punishment was commonplace and often brutal. This wasn't just some benevolent gesture. It was a real testament to their forward-thinking approach to land management and, maybe more importantly, a deeply ingrained sense of human dignity in their treatment of subordinates. It highlights a core belief that responsibility meant care, not just control. So what does it tell us about true leadership, that a family focused on humane treatment rather than punitive control in an era where brutality was pretty much the norm? Perhaps that genuine authority stems from respect, not fear.
That's precisely it. And this principle of moderation and responsibility, it also extended to how they managed their most vital resource, their land. The chronicle notes quite clearly that there was no overexploitation of soils.
Right.
In an age where many landowners just extracted everything they could, this family practiced a form of sustainable agriculture centuries before the term even existed. It demonstrates a remarkably long-term view of resources, a profound understanding of stewardship rather than just extraction.
Stewardship, yeah.
It's a pragmatic wisdom that resonates powerfully with our modern environmental challenges. If a 16th century landowning family could grasp the importance of ecological balance, what does that say about our priorities today?
It's a great question. And it wasn't just about managing physical resources. It was equally about investing in human capital, their own, and those around them. The family consistently held that education was duty, not privilege.
Duty, not privilege. That's powerful.
It really is. This idea permeated their approach, encouraging family members to be voice, not echo. This is a particularly poignant description often referenced when speaking of figures like Charlotte von Buchwitz, who we'll definitely delve into later. It meant they weren't simply repeating what others said or adhering blindly to societal norms. They were encouraged to form their own informed opinions, to speak with conviction, and to contribute original thought. That's a pretty radical idea for nobility of that era, wouldn't you say?
It truly is. This dedication to independent thought and measured conduct was just foundational. What allowed them to navigate centuries of immense political, social, and economic change without losing their core identity was this consistent set of values. Discretion in their dealings, a relentless clarity in both language and decision-making, and an unwavering fidelity to measure and education.
Right.
These weren't rigid rules, but a living philosophy, an internal compass that enabled deep adaptability while preserving their fundamental character and sense of purpose. It suggests that true resilience isn't about resisting change, but about having a strong enough core to adapt intelligently.
So where did this all begin? Let's go back. The earliest roots of the von Buchwitz family are found in a region known as the Volkland, a historical area that today spans parts of Germany and Bohemia. We actually have foundational documents that trace their presence there, like the Lenz Register from 1487.
The feudal register.
Exactly. For those unfamiliar, a Lenz Register was essentially the official feudal ledger, detailing who held which lands under feudal contracts. It gives us a crucial snapshot of their early landholdings and their role within that medieval system. We also have an endowment deed from a Magdalena von Buchau from 1493, which provides another glimpse into their very early history and financial dealings.
Then came a really pivotal moment in 1524, a significant migration to Silesia. This move was led by a Wenzel Buchwitz von Buckau, who passed away sometime after 1530. His decision to move to Silesia marks a profound geographical and, well, social transition for the family.
Yeah, it wasn't just a casual relocation, was it?
Not at all. It was a strategic shift to establish a new, significant foothold in a new region, signaling an early example of their pragmatic adaptability.
And what a foothold it became. In that same year, 1524, they acquired Pontwitz, located in the Duchy of Orleans. The sources describe it not as some grand palace, but as a fortified, half-timbered building, strategically surrounded by extensive fields and forests.
Practical.
Very practical. It wasn't just a property. It quickly became the central hub for their operations, the nucleus of their burgeoning influence in Silesia.
Crucially, though, Pontwitz wasn't viewed as a mere source of wealth or a symbol of status. For the von Buchwitz family, it instantly symbolized their duty and profound responsibility as landowners.
Responsibility again.
Yes. This mindset is clearly reflected in their early practices, such as the systematic archiving of family documents, purchase deeds, Lenz brief, those formal feudal charters granting tenure and even detailed estate management notes. All of these were meticulously preserved right there at Pontwitz. This foresight in preserving their heritage and operational knowledge from such an early stage is quite remarkable. It really speaks to a long-term vision.
And you really get a strong sense of their core values from a very concise entry from 1535 in their archives. It simply states, possession was preserved, not glorified. Education was duty, not privilege.
Wow. Just laid out there.
Right. It's like a clear mission statement for the entire family history, encapsulating their pragmatic approach to wealth and their unwavering commitment to learning. They actually remained at Pontwitz until the 18th century, a significant period of stability. It's important to note, though, just for clarity for you listening, that the physical location of what was eventually called Schloss Pontwitz later moved, eventually being associated with Tuppen in Bavaria. So it illustrates the complexities of historical geographical references that shift over centuries.
Yeah, that happens. It's not uncommon for families to sort of relocate their center while keeping the name.
Exactly. So as we transition into part 2, we start to see the family's influence expanding and key figures emerging, really shaping their trajectory from the 16th up to the 18th centuries.
Right, and a crucial economic foundation was laid by Adam von Buchwitz with his acquisition of Boguslavitz in 1549. This property didn't just add to their holdings, it quickly became another central family hub, strategically important for their economic base and a place where their values were really put into practice.
And Adam's son, Karl von Buchwitz, born in 1558 and lived to a remarkable age, 94, until 1652. He took the family's ascent to, well, new heights. He achieved the status of Freiherr, or Baron. Now, while the exact date of this elevation is a bit complex in the sources you see mentions of 1577, sometimes 1620 or 1627.
Sources can be tricky like that.
They can. But what's unequivocally clear is the profound significance of this official elevation. It wasn't just a title. It was real recognition of their established standing and influence.
And Karl's influence wasn't just titular, though. He served as the Landeshauptmann, essentially a regional governor or chief administrator of the Duchy of Ols. This was a position of immense responsibility and power.
Big deal.
Huge. He also owned extensive estates, including Boguslawitz and Wilkau. Wilkau, in particular, was a massive 3,000-hectare estate near Glogau, and it remained in the family's possession all the way until the devastation of World War II. Think about that continuity, hundreds of years of stewardship over that specific piece of land.
Incredible. But what's truly fascinating and deeply insightful about this Karl von Buchwitz is that his war diaries, meticulously covering the turbulent period of the 30 Years' War, from 1618 to 1648, they don't focus on battlefield glory, heroic charges, or personal accolades.
Oh, no, what them?
Instead, they are filled with painstaking details about the practicalities of logistics, securing provisions, and caring for the sick and wounded. This truly reinforces that that fidelity to function or duty was paramount for the family, not personal glory.
Function's true, right?
It speaks to a profound understanding that real leadership is about competence and care, not just, charismatic commands. What can modern leaders learn from a 17th century baron whose personal war records focused on the welfare of his troops and the practicalities of supply lines? Perhaps that true legacy is built on service, not ego.
It's a powerful point. And the family's influence continued to expand westward through a strategic marriage in 1685, the union of Johann Friedrich von Buchwitz to the widowed Sophia von Buckau. This brought the important Saxon estate of Buchau into the family's holdings, diversifying their geographical and political reach.
And Buchau wasn't just another piece of property. Its location was key, revealing the family's strategic vision again. It sat right at the intersection of crucial trade routes, extending all the way from Leipzig to Prague.
Oh, prime location.
Absolutely. This provided the family with direct access not only to influential Saxon chanceries, the administrative centers of the Saxon court, but also to renowned universities. This significantly broadened their intellectual and political reach beyond their Silesian roots, demonstrating their ability to leverage new opportunities.
And Sophia von Buckau herself brought remarkable intellectual and cultural contributions to the family. In 1693, she founded a reform school, a truly progressive initiative for its time, especially for a noblewoman. Yes, and it offered education in reading, writing, and Latin to children of all social strata, a radical concept back then. The school's rector, Matthias Gerber, succinctly captured its ethos, stating, "Here one is not taught to rule, but to serve."
Wow. Not taught to rule, but to serve.
Exactly. And this pioneering educational endeavor was sustainably financed directly from the estate's revenues, demonstrating practical foresight and an enduring commitment to that education as duty principle. It wasn't just charity, it was seen as an investment in society.
By 1720, the Buchwitz and Buchau lines formally unified, solidifying their combined influence in creating a more powerful, integrated family unit. This period also saw the consolidation of their extensive archives at the impressive Schloss Boguslawitz.
The archives again?
Yes. These archives were apparently a treasure trove, including documents like that historically significant lens brief from 1524 for Pontwitz, Sophia's testament from 1720, which actually secured the school foundation financially, and even Karl von Buchwitz's detailed war diaries we just discussed. These aren't just dusty papers. They're a living record of their values and decisions over centuries.
Moving into the Age of Enlightenment, the family continued to produce distinguished individuals who powerfully embodied their unique ethos. Charlotte von Buchwitz, for instance. She had a truly remarkable presence in late 18th century Weimar, which was, a major cultural and intellectual hub.
Weimar, right. Good this time.
Exactly. She was a woman of sharp education, considerable musical talent, and a notable presence in influential salons. Goethe himself penned a brief but significant letter, noting, "Jene Charlotte von Buchwitz, deren Geist mich reizt und deren Stimme in mir bleibt." Basically, that Charlotte von Buchwitz, whose spirit intrigues me and whose voice stays with me.
High praise from Goethe. And what's crucial here, based on the family chronicles, is that Charlotte was no mere romantic muse or, decorative presence. She was truly voice, not echo.
Voice, not echo. I like that.
Me too. She actively discussed, she read extensively, she composed music. She was an integral part of a vibrant intellectual circle, interacting with leading figures like Wieland and Lenz, and was present in the very salons where important decisions about publishing and intellectual discourse were being made. Her story truly exemplifies a line of strong intellectual women in the family, making their mark not through titles or marriage, but through their impactful presence and original ideas. It's a testament to the education as duty and voice, not echo principles in action.
Absolutely. And another pivotal figure was Hans Ernst von Buchwitz, who lived from 1705 to 1778. He was a brilliant jurist serving as Hofgerichtsrat, or court counselor, in Glogau. He was renowned for his comprehensive knowledge of both Roman and customary law.
A legal mind.
Very much so. His personal library at Schloss Niederstratum was extraordinary for its time, holding over 5,000 volumes across law, history, philosophy, and natural sciences. It just illustrates his incredibly broad intellectual appetite and commitment to lifelong learning.
And his guiding principle, found in a notebook from his estate apparently, tells you everything you need to know about his approach.
Law is the form life needs, truth is the content it seeks.
Profound.
Isn't it? And this wasn't just abstract philosophy. His precise and balanced legal opinions were highly sought after to settle complex neighborhood disputes, contributing significantly to stability and order in the region. He wasn't just interpreting laws, he was applying truth to everyday life.
And while the family never pursued military fame or glory in the conventional sense, they were always present when duty called. During the tumultuous Silesian Wars in the 18th century, family members served in various capacities, reflecting that function's true again.
Right, fidelity to function. Exactly. They took on critical staff roles, managed complex supply lines, and provided essential legal counsel. Hans Eberhard von Buchwitz, a lieutenant for Frederick II, perfectly exemplifies this. His diaries reflect a focus on meticulous administration and logistics rather than heroic battle accounts. It just underscores their practical, function-oriented approach to duty. It's about doing the job well, not seeking the spotlight.
And this pattern of service driven by duty, rather than personal ambition for glory or rank, continued right into the 19th century. You see figures like General Major Wilhelm von Buchwitz. He was known not for battlefield heroics, but for being a disciplinary role model, and for his unwavering correctness and fairness with subordinates.
Fairness. Echoes of that 1580 edict again.
It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A deep-seated respect for those under their command, running through centuries.
The 19th century brought the Prussian era, and with it, new administrative and legal realities. And the family's remarkable ability to adapt to these new realities truly shone through. They pragmatically consolidated their properties under new legal frameworks and administrative structures, particularly after the Napoleonic Wars. This wasn't about resisting inevitable change. It was about intelligently securing their estates and their future within a new political system.
Adapting the form to preserve the content.
Precisely, a classic example of their approach.
And you see this pragmatic approach vividly in key figures like Ernst Wilhelm I, who lived from 1822 to 1902. He served as a land judge in Glogau, renowned not just for his precise judgments, but also for his quiet, almost anonymous acts of charity. His diary entries are incredibly telling, apparently always reflecting the same concise sentiment. Submissions reviewed, disputes settled, silence kept.
Silence kept. Wow.
It speaks volumes about his character, his profound sense of responsibility, and that ethos to still doing good without fanfare. It's a powerful lesson in impactful anonymity, I think.
Definitely. Other important figures from this era include Wilhelm I, born in 1795, living until 1883, who became a successful landowner of a Rittergut, or a knight's estate, called Kausche.
Rittergut's Kausche.
Yes. A Rittergut was a specific type of landed property in Germany, often with certain legal and tax privileges linked to historical noble land tenure. His son, Wilhelm III, who lived from 1820 to 1900, inherited Kausche and served as a royal Prussian chamberlain and Rittermeister.
Rittermeister, like a cavalry captain.
Typically, yes, or Master of Knights. A title that, while sometimes ceremonial, still signaled deep integration into the Prussian state's military and administrative structures. They carried on the family's tradition of responsible land management and service within a changing social landscape.
But this century also saw a significant, almost revolutionary shift for the family. A decisive move towards urban life, particularly in Berlin. By 1918, a pivotal year in German history, they no longer possessed significant rural estates. Instead, their focus had entirely shifted to professional and intellectual pursuits.
A complete transformation.
Totally. From rural gentry to urban intellectuals and professionals.
But here's where it gets really interesting, echoing our earlier point about the ethos still. They became, as the Chronicle puts it, bourgeois without becoming bourgeois.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It means they fully adopted urban lifestyles and professions, but they emphatically retained what the Chronicle calls their aristocratic attitude. This manifested as a distinct distance from fleeting fashions, a remarkable clarity in their language and decisions, and an unwavering fidelity to measure and education. Their adel status, their noble status, formally ended with the founding of the Weimar Republic in 1918. Those inherited privileges were abolished. Yet they modernized without losing their intrinsic character. It demonstrates that true nobility for them was an internal quality, not a legal one.
So they kept their values even as their circumstances completely changed.
Exactly. Their Berlin townhouses became the new centers of family life, replacing the vast rural estates. They were thoughtfully equipped with extensive libraries, music rooms, even winter gardens, reflecting a blend of the elegant Art Nouveau influences of the time with a characteristic Prussian functionalism.
So different setting, same priorities.
Pretty much. Instead of hunting in the forests, they now frequented concert halls and academic lectures. The physical landscape of their lives changed, but the intellectual and cultural pursuits remained paramount.
And this urban integration led to the formation of new, incredibly diverse networks, didn't it? Including prominent professors, high-ranking diplomats, influential artists.
Yes, and the family became hosts, not for social spectacle or pompous events aimed at impressing, but as a significant space for deep, meaningful conversations, rigorous intellectual exchange, and the vital preservation of family memory and values. It was always about substance over show, another strong echo of their enduring ethos.
Okay, so now we enter part 3 of the 20th century, a period of unprecedented upheaval and profound change, but also somehow remarkable continuity for the von Buchwitz family. The two world wars in particular had an immense, often devastating impact.
Mm-hmm.
And the family records, interestingly, and again, true to their ethos, focus heavily on loss and responsibility, rather than glorifying heroes or indulging in narratives of triumph. It's a very stark, very human perspective on war.
You see this in the sacrifices made, a testament to duty. Erich von Buchwitz, born in 1895, tragically fell at Verdun in June 1916 during World War I. Just one of countless young lives lost there.
They're unimaginable.
Then, Werner von Buchwitz, born in 1887, was a WWI veteran awarded the Iron Cross, indicating his brave service. And in World War II, Hans von Buchwitz, born in 1901, a Wehrmacht captain, tragically died in a plane crash near Narva in Estonia in 1944.
Just constant loss.
These were immediate, deeply personal losses, and they led directly to irreversible consequences for their Eastern possessions.
Because the year 1945 brought cataclysmic, irreversible changes, didn't it? The ancestral estates, Pontwitz, Wilkow, Langendorf, Boguslawitz, all lost. And this wasn't due to any individual fault or mismanagement.
No, it was the sweep of history.
Exactly. A direct result of the geopolitical shifts. Polish administration took over, houses were expropriated, ancient archives vanished or were repurposed, family coats of arms were literally removed from buildings, centuries-old gardens destroyed, even family names were erased from local records in some cases. A complete and total rupture.
Yet the family's response to this immense systemic loss is truly indicative of their enduring character, and perhaps the most powerful expression of that ethos still. The tone, as recorded in their chronicles, was always, "What was is over, we preserve what remains within."
We preserve what remains within.
Wow! It speaks to an incredible inner strength and an incredibly practical approach to profound upheaval. It wasn't about dwelling on victimhood or clinging desperately to what was gone. It was about an inner resilience, a deep understanding that their true heritage resided not in physical possessions, but in their shared values, their history, their intellectual foundation. This is such a profound lesson for anyone facing catastrophic loss today. How do you find continuity and purpose when everything external is stripped away?
It's incredibly powerful. And what's truly remarkable, almost ironic, is that after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1990, Ralph Lothar von Buchwitz's father, Richard Gerhard Buchwitz, an engineer who lived from 1925 to 2013, was actually offered the return of some of these various states.
Really? After all that time?
Yeah. Apparently, the new Polish government simply couldn't bear the maintenance costs for the derelict properties. This offer, decades later, just highlights how complete the loss had been and how fundamentally the world had changed. But also the enduring, almost symbolic weight of these historical lands.
And this period also vividly illustrates the continuing relevance of their mit allem Gesindhaltung.
Okay, remind us what that means.
It translates roughly to a disposition of responsibility for all dependents, or maybe with all the household. It represents a centuries-old sense of responsibility that extended to all employees, tenants, anyone associated with them.
Got it.
And this commitment to caring for those associated with them wherever possible continued even in these times of forced migration and dispossession. It demonstrates the profound continuity of their values, even when the old structures were completely gone. It wasn't about legal obligation anymore. It was deeply ingrained moral duty.
Even amidst such immense loss, some material testaments to their history survived, didn't they? The family managed to salvage pieces of their family silver, including some exquisite 17th and 18th century items.
Tangible links.
Exactly. These weren't just heirlooms. They symbolized continuity, exquisite craftsmanship, and the family's remarkable ability to preserve tangible values and a link to their past even when everything else was crumbling around them. Just a few pieces of silver, silently carrying centuries of stories.
And their enduring presence in Berlin and Germany throughout these changes also reflects a broader European aristocratic perspective, perhaps. They viewed borders, political upheavals, shifting national allegiances as, well, administrative lines on a map, not as fundamental cultural or human separations.
Interesting perspective.
This fluid understanding of identity, rooted in their long history, allowed them to adapt to new political realities without losing their essential sense of who they were. Their allegiance, it seems, was primarily to their values and their lineage, not necessarily to transient political boundaries.
Okay, so now we arrive at part 4, the real core focus of our deep dive today. Ralph Lothar von Buchwitz. Born in 1961, he is described as the last known representative of this incredible century-spanning family. And we have direct insights from an interview conducted back in 2005 when he was 44.
Right.
Which gives us a truly unique window into how he deals with this immense 600-year heritage and, perhaps even more importantly, how he lives his life today, now being 60+. His perspective isn't just informed by history, it is history speaking, in a way.
Absolutely. His personal views and actions, they seem to be a direct living bridge to the family's long-standing ethos of pragmatism, quiet strength, deep adaptability, and profound responsibility. He really embodies this lineage, translating centuries of inherited wisdom into a stark yet remarkably grounded analysis of modern reality. It's not about nostalgia at all. It's about applying enduring principles to contemporary challenges. How does a man deeply rooted in 6 centuries of an ethos still look at the world today? That's the fascinating part.
Let's start with his sharp critique of AI and current industry leadership, particularly those now in their 40s and 50s. He doesn't hold back, does he?
Not at all. He points out the paradoxical dependency of AI on eroding training data, a finite resource that is constantly being diminished and corrupted. He warns of the potential for what he calls AI hallucinated data to further degrade information, leading to a sort of intellectual feedback loop of inaccuracies.
AI hallucinated data.
It's a very practical, almost analytical view of technology, quite devoid of the usual hype we hear.
And his critique extends further towards what he views as unintelligent strategic missteps by many current industry leaders. He refers to them, quite pointedly, as a generation that refused to grow up, suggesting a lack of maturity in their decision-making.
Ouch.
Yeah. His strongest criticism is that they are betting societal survival on AI, a Tower of Babel built on hope, not reality. He argues that foundational work and basic responsibilities have been avoided, leading to predictable crises that were evident long ago.
And this perspective really resonates with the von Buchwitz family's historical emphasis on solid foundations, practicality, and facing reality head-on, doesn't it? They built on what was real, not on speculative hope.
Exactly. And he's quite blunt about major global challenges like the energy crunch. He states with an almost weary certainty that everyone knew this was coming. Now it's here.
No surprise to him?
None at all. From his perspective, the tech industry's immense power means it will inevitably prioritize its own interests over the consumers, determining access to crucial resources in a crisis. It's a very clear-eyed, almost unvarnished assessment of power dynamics and resource allocation, deeply rooted in a pragmatic understanding of how the world truly works. There's no idealism there, just a stark look at consequences.
His global perspective is equally unblinking, and for some might even sound harsh. He asserts, quite factually, that the world does not revolve around the U.S., and makes the stark statement that 4% of the world population will not be noticed if it's gone.
That's stark.
It is. But he views this not as a unique event or a judgment, but as a historical pattern observed over millennia. He argues that the rise and fall of populations or dominant entities are simply absorbed by the larger global context. This is the centuries-long view of his family heritage coming right to the fore. a detached, almost anthropological understanding of human history as a series of cycles, where no single entity is indispensable in the grand scheme. It's a humbling, sobering thought, reflecting a perspective that has literally seen empires rise and fall while his family quietly endured.
And this sweeping historical perspective, surprisingly perhaps, is in direct contrast to how he views the philosophy of Siemens AG, the global industrial powerhouse where he actually worked in corporate.
Ah, interesting comparison.
Yeah. He states that Siemens, with its 500,000 employees worldwide and a 200-year history, doesn't gamble with humanity and humans, and aligns with its founders' beliefs in long-term sustainable success, not short-term speculative gains. He sees it as a model of responsible, enduring enterprise, a foundational difference in approach compared to what he perceives as the recklessness of some modern tech leadership.
So a pragmatic nod to institutions that build with the future in mind, mirroring his own family's long-term stewardship. Makes sense.
It does, and at the absolute core of Ralph Lothar von Buchwitz's beliefs.
Yeah.
A truth clearly shaped by his inherited ethos is the fundamental understanding that the planet is inherently harsh.
Harsh.
Yes, he argues that trying to run away from its realities or attempting to engineer ourselves out of natural consequences only leads to more severe consequences down the line. For him, the defining factor for any society or individual when facing a crisis is how one chooses to deal with human reality. It's about direct, uncompromising engagement with undeniable facts, a radical embrace of what is rather than what one wishes it to be.
Facing facts head-on, the family trait again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he experienced this firsthand, embodying that very principle. He shared a powerful personal anecdote about enduring a major hurricane on Panglao Island 3 years prior to his 2005 interview, so sometime around 2002.
A hurricane. Wow.
Yeah. He described living without running water, the power, no fridge, no air conditioning in his house. A raw, visceral confrontation with nature's immense power. He wasn't, evacuating or complaining online. He was living through it.
And what emerged from that experience?
A profound, almost spiritual reflection. He recounted standing outside during the storm amidst the chaos, feeling deeply connected to the planet on which I live the way nature intended us to live. And in the quiet evenings, days later, when the stars were finally visible again after the storm cleared, he remembered thinking, the world still turns.
Powerful.
It was a moment of profound realization about humanity's place in the natural order and the enduring rhythm of existence beyond human disruption.
And his conclusion from that intensely personal, transformative experience is incredibly insightful, isn't it? And it directly speaks to how he chooses to live his life today, now at 60 plus.
What was it?
He said, I understood that I need no fear, no anger, but live of what nature provides. Amazing how well this works and how relaxing it is without the internet.
Without the internet.
Oh.
Wow. This isn't just an abstract philosophy for him. It's a lived reality, a tangible expression of his inherited ethos of moderation, practicality, and quiet resilience. It's an embrace of self-sufficiency and a profound peace found in simplicity.
And his guidance for the future, particularly for younger generations, is delivered in the same pragmatic, unvarnished style that defines his outlook. He states that his views are modest, not harsh, but always real.
Always real.
His core message for younger people facing an uncertain future is clear. They need not fear, they need change. He sees change not as a threat, but as an absolute necessity, and an opportunity for growth, echoing his family's 6th century history of adaptation.
And he specifically recommends that young people go places where they can pick up fundamental skills, ideally outside their own country. He stresses that this isn't just for the practical skills themselves, but equally to learn social skills, the ability to navigate different cultures, to connect with people from diverse backgrounds, to adapt to new environments.
Right, the whole package.
Exactly. He believes both they will need very soon, emphasizing the critical importance of hands-on, real-world competence and interpersonal intelligence in a rapidly changing world. It's a call to action, rooted in that deep-seated von Buchwitz pragmatism.
And this commitment to practicality culminates in his profound emphasis on results over mere talk. He states, quoting a well-known German proverb, Reden ist Silber, Schweigen ist Gold. Speaking is silver, silence is gold. He then expands, explaining what that means to him. Talk is speech without purpose. It's a direct reinforcement of the action-oriented, duty-bound approach that has characterized the von Buchwitz family for centuries. For Ralph Lothar von Buchwitz, his life and perspective today are guided by this belief that true value lies in tangible action and thoughtful silence, not in empty words or grand pronouncements. It is the active embodiment of a 600-year-old heritage.
So what does this all mean for us, for you listening, as we navigate our own rapidly changing world? We've traced the incredible journey of the von Buchwitz family across 600 years. From their quiet ethos of resilience and deep responsibility to their pragmatic adaptations through wars, changing borders, profound societal shifts, it's not just a history lesson, it's a testament to enduring values that allow them to not survive, but to truly thrive in their own way for centuries.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Ralph Lothar von Buchwitz really embodies this entire lineage. His candid, unvarnished insights into the present state of the world, from, the paradoxical dependencies of technology to the fundamental, often harsh demands of nature. These aren't just opinions from a man in his 60s. They feel like the distillation of centuries of a family that faced reality head-on time and time again. He is, in a sense, a living archive of applied wisdom.
Yeah, that personal transformative experience during the hurricane and his urgent call for younger generations to seek fundamental real-world skills and practical understanding. They are direct echoes of that deep heritage. It's about being doers and protectors, as he seems to imply, rather than just hoping for the best or relying on fleeting trends. It's a powerful argument for a grounded, adaptable approach to life, rooted in quiet strength and genuine responsibility.
Which really raises an important question for you, our listener. Given Ralph Lothar von Buchwitz's perspective on enduring heritage and confronting reality with quiet strength, how do you choose to deal with human reality? What foundational values will you carry forward, adapting them to the undeniable demands of a rapidly changing world? And how will you live your own deep dive?